fucking first cut. Golly. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your recap episode for this week's Arnold Palmer Invitational. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. Greg, good to see you.
Good to see you too, boys. What a week, and happy daylight savings time to everybody.
Oh God, don't.
Yeah, too much to cover to start with that nonsense. Again, Patrick McDonald is here, and if you are only listening to us via the audio portion of the show, he is essentially glowing. He's smiling from ear to ear. His feet are barely touching the ground.
It's a great day in the camp of the world number one, and the number one in multiple other rankings out there, which we will get to. But like you said, Rick, it's beautiful when a plan comes together.
This is the guy who doesn't pass the eye test for you, right?
He passes the eye test when I say he can.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah, there we go. This is Liv. You're Liv.
I am more or less the handler of
arbiter.
Scottie Scheffler.
You're the arbiter.
When I tell him to attack, he attacks, and when I tell him to heal, he heals. And this week, data point number one of such arrangement.
Rick, apparently that's Kyle Poyer. Hey, KP.
I can't handle these two guys. Can we just go do our own pod?
Yeah.
We got Greg yelling about daylight savings time.
I'm not yelling.
And Patrick, I couldn't stop thinking about the time zone thing.
He's not alone, because I've been tagged in a variety of other daylight savings takes and or universal time zone takes. A lot of time zone truthers out there.
Yeah, I was surprised because I've shared that take with a few other people. Nobody's ever agreed with me, and people agree. A lot of people agreed with me on the internet, which I was very pleased of. And like you, KP, it made me think of it a whole lot more.
Yeah,
and my fury just continues to rise and bubble out of control.
The problem is, I don't know that the people that are agreeing with you are the ones you want on your side necessarily.
I'll take anybody.
I tried to present it. I feel like you hung me. I feel like you just led me over the middle, because I tried to present it to a few people, including my wife, and she was like, "You're an idiot. Whoever gave that to you is an idiot."
I like that he admits he has shared it and it hasn't gone well, yet he continues to run it out there.
I'm trying to find somebody that doesn't live, 40 states away from me, like Greg, to share in my.
At least in the conversation.
Yeah.
Boy.
The time is the time. And I think now it's time to move on.
The time for Scottie Scheffler is now, because 51 weeks after his last official PGA Tour victory, Scottie has gotten it done. And Patrick, he did it in style. What was a logjam of a leaderboard for 3 full rounds turned into a runaway, because Scottie shot a Sunday 66 that is 6 under par. It was bogey free. It was tactical, and he made just about every putt put in front of him.
It was Shane Lowry was on NBC after the coverage, and they asked him, to describe Scottie Scheffler's round, and he was legitimately speechless. Like he was like he was like, "Oh yeah, he played pretty good. I don't think I could have done anything." And then and they just moved on to the other question. And you combine obviously the tee to green that he has with the putting performance like today, where he gained over 4 strokes, and you have a bogey free, only one at Bay Hill today, 6 under 66 that clipped the field average by 7 in a runaway victory. I mean, walking off the 11th green, this guy on Saturday was 5 down. 25 holes later, he wins by 5. It was a masterclass over those last 25 holes on really how to play golf and how to play Bay Hill.
You know what, Greg? This is the question that has been asked countless times in the last 51 weeks. What happens when Scottie Scheffler putts well? We have found our answer. Statistically, first in the field off the tee this week, 12th on approach, and first around the green. None of those truly a surprise. 5th in strokes gained putting. He gained 4.5 strokes to the field. That, when all put together, is a 5.
How much of that he did in just one day? It wasn't necessarily like the conversations on Thursday weren't necessarily very positive. He missed a number of really makeable putts. He lost a shot and a half on the greens. It got a little better Friday and Saturday, but when he's able to put together a performance like he did today, where he made seemingly everything he looked at and was perfect inside of 15 feet, that's a huge change of pace for Scottie Scheffler. So, going forward, it doesn't have to be every round is a spectacular putting performance. He doesn't have to putt like Jason Day for his entire career. He just has to make a few putts, and he's ultimately just got to be pretty good. And you're looking at, victories by a wide margin like we saw today.
KP, it was a smiling Scottie Scheffler, a guy that looked like he was confident. Even that last putt, so he taps it in for par on the 18th hole. He walked right up to it. He did not put a coin down. I don't know what it was, 2.5 feet, but he has grinded over those in the last year. He has missed some of those in the last year. I know you're sporting a 5-shot lead on the last hole, but he looked confident. He looked happy. He looked like he was in complete control.
Yeah. Did he? You guys were watching. I was in and out yesterday. I had the day off, but did he exercise did some demons get thrown in the lake on the 11th hole yesterday, Patrick?
I don't think they were thrown in the lake. I think they were thrown at Teddy Scott.
Okay, so I caught bits and pieces. I know there was hollering and yelling, but who was yelling at who?
So Scottie misses a 12-foot par putt on 11, leaves it in the heart about half a foot short. And I don't know if it was at Teddy or himself, where he pretty much said, "I'm getting sick of this," and then just kind of stormed off, and the coverage cut to someone else. But ever since that moment, KP, it was lights out.
Yeah. It was.
I'm convinced. You can pray to the deity of your choice. Mine is Ted Scott. I mean, he has answered prayers, or prayers have been answered for him. Maybe that's a better. I mean, this guy, he can do whatever. You say you're sick of it, boom. Now you just start making every putt. All those years with Bubba Watson to get access to Scottie Scheffler in the year of 2024. It's special stuff.
Yeah, he's looking to tie. He's looking to tie Arnold Palmer with Masters wins this year. Teddy is 4.
Sick.
Yeah. No, I mean, Scottie looked like Steph or Clay the last day and a half. I mean, it was just like, it just looked. It almost. This is very reductive, and I'm oversimplifying, but it just looked more confident, and it looked like when he hit it, he wasn't. Somebody wrote this, and I was sensing it. He looked like terrified of where the ball was going after he would putt it. Even when it went in, it was more like, I think Shane Bacon said this. Even when it went in, it was more like, oh God, I'm glad that went in, and not like he just was not confident at all. And he looked very confident the last day and a half. So I think so much of it for him is extremely mental. But by the way, the broadcast, like, you can spare me the whole gushing over Scott. Like the number one player in the world is not above critique. Like, I feel like there's this whole narrative like that the top players can't be criticized. Like, what is that? Did you guys hear some of this?
What did you?
Keep going.
I admittedly mute a lot of it, but what specifically do you think Scottie should have been critiqued about something that he wasn't?
No, I just feel like there was this whole narrative on the broadcast of, well, this answers all the critics, and like basically the implication being, how dare you question the number one player in the world's game? And it's like, that's the point. Like, if you and this is not coming from Scottie, but it's definitely coming from people that have a voice in the golf world. And it's like, man, like the reason he's critiqued is because he's one of the 3 best ball strikers over the last quarter of a century. Like he's historically good. And I think that critique is a privilege in a lot of ways. And I don't know that Scottie's popped back, but I just feel like a lot of those narratives, it's like, man, that's a big time privilege to be criticized like that.
Yeah, that's the gift and the curse of being the number 1 player in the world.
Totally.
And it makes for a great story when he handles it, like he did this weekend. I mean, that adds to the pressure of performing every single week. I think that creates all the frustration. I mean, you look at some of these Scottie Scheffler numbers, and Mike Tirico was highlighting them towards the end with his scoring average. It's below 68 now. Last year's scoring average was 68 and change, the second best of all time, right? So there's a critique in there because the wins they seem like they don't come as quickly as they should or as often as they should, especially in the last year. I mean, it's been a full year since he's won an official PGA Tour event, yet we have all these scoring record numbers and all of these statistics that say this is a historic tee to green player, ball striking player, like you said, Kyle. And when the wins aren't there, that leads to questions.
Yeah,
that are valid.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and to give Scottie credit, I don't know that he's ever ducked any of that or shied away from it, but it just, I don't know. The whole thing seemed like these are big boys. Like they can take a little bit of critique.
The other thing that is kind of crappy, Patrick, is Scottie has now seen both sides of this, where when he won 4 times in 6 starts or 8 starts, he was only on a heater, right? This unsustainable heater. And now he can't win, and they're not coming as much as they should. It's like, dude, what do you expect? He still has 7 or 8 wins in the last 3 years, which is just an insane amount.
It's dumb. And I mean, moving forward, it'll be like, oh, can he sustain this putter? Will it be like this every week? Who knows, right? But even going back to the KP, to your point, I asked Scottie in Phoenix, I was like, how do you balance that frustration of coming so close with almost like a sense of accomplishment of playing so well for 4 days? And he was, and he pretty much laughed at me. He goes, oh, I get frustrated. He's like, I am not happy if I come away from a tournament without winning. But you kind of have to step back after the week's done and realize, like, hey, I played some pretty good golf, but I try to win every time. And so, yeah, I think with Scheffler, it's obvious that if he putts in the neighborhood of this, not gaining 5.5 strokes over the last 2 rounds, I mean, that's just silly for anyone, really. But say, average or whatever, I want him to burn down everything. I'm not talking about like a 5-win season. We've seen that in recent memory. Not a 4-win season. He just did that in 22. John Rahm did that last year.
Not 1, not 2.
I want like 7 in a couple majors, I think. I want him just to like put it all on the table.
I mean, you sound like a lunatic right now. And when producer Josh clips that and tweets it out, you're going to sound crazy, and I'm not going to back you up, but it's not crazy based on the numbers. Like, no, I've been yelling about this for several weeks now. Like, he's Vijay Singh. Vijay Singh in 2004 had a negative strokes gained putting for the year and won 9 times. And that's like what we could be. I mean, like, I'm convinced he's going to win the Players next week by 5 again.
Yeah, and look, given the current landscape of the PGA Tour, you don't have to deal with John Rahm. You don't have to deal with Bryson, Brooks, all these other guys who won. I mean, Cam Smith won, twice that year, the Players and the Open, 3 times the Century as well. He has a real chance to do something very silly this year.
Yeah.
And KP, you tweeted out something in 50 starts, he has 21 top 3s.
Yeah, so producer Josh has it right here. It says last 50 starts since January 1, 2022. This is worldwide, doesn't include team events. I think he played the Zurich in 2022. This does include his hero win. 8 wins, 3 missed cuts, 21 top 3s, and he's 520 under par.
That guy can win 7 times this season.
Yeah.
I mean, you're close enough,
Yeah.
often enough, which is why it's not an outrageous thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say as it's going to happen, but he's certainly capable of it.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It's like, okay, if you said, Greg, hey, Rory or Victor could win 7 times this year, you'd be like, I mean, I guess they could technically, but that they're not going to, right? With
Right.
Scottie, you're like, it's kind of close enough that if a few things break his way that maybe didn't last year, you're like, yeah, he legitimately could.
Because when the putting is around average, the margin of victory is 5. You know, where with Victor, he has to play really, really well in order to win. And I think Rory, over the last couple of years, it's been kind of the same way. You kind of need Rory at his best to win. It doesn't feel that way with Scottie. Feels like normal Scottie is going to be there heading into the final round every time he tees it up.
I've got
is rare.
Sorry, I've got a Rory quote. I know we need to get to a break, Rick, but I'm going to read you this. This is from just now, just got posted. This is about Scottie from Rory. He's been super consistent. I think being as consistent as Scottie has been is really, really difficult in this game. Anyone can pop up and win an event here or there or get on a good run, but the consistent performances that Scottie's been putting in and week out, every time he tees it up, it is incredible. Then what he's doing this week, I mean, this is a super tough golf course, and to be 600 today, going out with the lead and just sort of lapping the field it's super impressive. But we all knew that he had this in him. His ball striking is honestly on another level compared to everyone else right now. We knew if he started to hole putts, then this sort of stuff would happen. So don't take it from me. Don't take it from Greg, Patrick, Rick. Take it from the number 3 player in the world.
And with that, we will take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
Well, you need your sports news anywhere?
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
And we're back. I, too, have some breaking news because I would like to officially welcome a new podcast, a new pod to the CBS Sports family. It is called Beyond the Arc, and it is a brand new show featuring daily NBA discussions with John Gonzalez, Philly guy, Bill Ryder, and Ashley Nicole Moss, as well as regular appearances from you-know-who, NBA champion Avery Johnson. You can download and follow Beyond the Arc wherever you find this podcast.
Nice name.
Must be I think the CBS Sports Podcast Network, I think it crushes.
Yeah.
When you said you know who, I thought you were gonna say like, and your boy Rick Gehman.
I legitimately thought that too, Patrick. I was like, that's crazy that he's getting into basketball now.
That would be some takes. They would not be great. Behind Scottie Scheffler, closest man was Wyndham Clark. And Patrick, we'll go right back to you here. 71-66, 71-70, 10 under. Beats everybody but Scottie Scheffler. Wyndham Clark turning into a big game hunter.
Not to steal a quote from Greg, but what a week for Wyndham Clark. He gets a lot of fans from Full Swing Season 2. If you haven't seen his episode, a lot of people received it well. And then on Saturday, he's out there taking apart Bay Hill with some wedges. Didn't like some of the lies he got, especially on 18. Brandel Chambly comes at him. The internet comes at him. But you put that all together, and it's boom, a runner-up in a signature event. And look, this time last year, Wyndham Clark was winless on the PGA Tour. Right now, he wants less than 100 people to have a tour card. So it's one credit to his mental work that he's put in. I mean, you don't win at LACC, Quill Hollow, and Pebble Beach, and almost Bay Hill by accident just by mistake. And it's kind of crazy that he followed suit on Rory's quote, I think, because one, Rory has earned that place in the game, and I'm not sure Wyndham Clark quite has yet.
The 100
winner. Who is the biggest winner of Full Swing?
Keegan and Tom Kim and Jay Tizzle, maybe.
Who was the biggest loser?
Come on.
Zach Johnson.
Jay Tizzle's boy, Zach Johnson.
Was it? I haven't seen. I've only seen like the first 3, I think.
It doesn't look great for old ZJ.
Well, I mean, I think we kind of knew that might be the case going in.
Speculated, but now we know for sure.
Yeah.
The scene at the open house is tough. And then him talking about JT is also like
Does
you.
he like put JT in the lineup like while they're having dinner?
No, well, Spieth, like they're all having dinner. It's Ricky, JT, Spieth, and Zach Johnson with a backwards hat on.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. And Spieth just goes, he's such a needler. He goes, Zach, what is the likelihood that everyone at this table will be in Rome playing in the Ryder Cup?
What an idiot. That's a bad spot to get put in.
Don't stay in the same house as them.
Yeah.
Anyway, KP, I think you were going to dive down the Wyndham Clark take that there should be 100 golfers on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really necessarily want to get into it, but is that what you were referencing, Patrick? Is the 100 golfers thing?
Yeah, I think Rory McIlroy saying that is completely different than Wyndham Clark saying that.
Yeah, especially like I don't know if Wyndham would have been in that like
2 years ago.
Or 12 months ago.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't win a U.S. Open if that's the way it's set up.
What do they say? Cross the bridge and burn it down behind you, something like that.
Yeah.
What did y'all think about the lie on 18? When he was
he did too much.
Yeah, that's kind of my take. It was like I get setting up or whatever, but there was a lot of movement back there.
A lot of pressure was applied, and I was trying to think about. Greg and I were talking about this last night. That's not the first time he's kind of been aggressive with grass, which
is Snoop Dogg aggressive with grass?
He did go to Oregon for a few years, I guess. All right.
He did.
Yeah. So
when was the other time?
Who?
Wyndham
Clark.
When he was aggressive with grass?
Yeah.
Wasn't it just recently? We're at Torrey
Rick,
Pines?
I think that was Hideki. Unless there was another one you were thinking of.
It was Matthew Pavon.
Oh, I looked. Okay, that too. But there was also Wyndham. I looked at because I typed that in. Wyndham had to take a drop in the rough at Torrey, and he got jammed for stomping around and he had to drop it in.
Yeah, there's been some Wyndham
Pebble Beach
stuff.
Pebble.
There's been some chatter. Which is, I mean, I don't know, whatever. But like, it just you don't have to pat it down like 27 times. It just seemed like a lot.
It just seemed unnatural,
or just unnecessary.
Yeah, all. I don't know. Anyway,
by the way, on Wyndham Clark and 100 guys, there was only 1 year in his career where he was outside of the top 100.
Okay.
So it's really hard to go back and say what would have happened, but he was 72nd in the FedEx Cup in 22. So I guess he still would have been playing in that top 100 in theory last year.
Well, notice that he said the bottom 20 should be relegated, not the bottom 30.
28. Wyndham definitely has takes, which I appreciate.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love this new era of guys just letting it fly.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with all of his takes, but he definitely has them.
It's player entitlement era. We are in it. Well,
it's way too much. It's way too much. Like you, everybody just is voicing their complaints all of a sudden.
It's an airing of grievances all year round.
It's terrible for everybody.
Can I air a grievance while we're here?
Please.
Yes.
Okay, so I tweeted this, but they were doing a commercial for the PGA Tour, final round of the Arnold Palmer. They were doing playing through on one side and the commercial on the other. And the voiceover, the PGA Tour commercial said something like, it's a clear reference to Live. They said something like the PGA Tour, where it's not what you want, but what you earn, or something like that. And I'm playing through. They have Shane Lowry in his MasterCard little shirt, like on his collar, the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard. And there's a quote from, this is not on the broadcast, but I pulled a quote from Shane Lowry. He got into the tournament because he has a relationship with the whoever of like the people at MasterCard. He was a sponsor invite into the tournament. I just found it like, I don't know, man. We've talked about this a bunch with sponsor exemptions, but it feels weird. And that's not an anti Shane Lowry thing. I think he's doing what anybody would do and taking advantage of the system, or using the system to his advantage in a completely fair way. I just don't think I like the system. Like, it just seems, I don't know. I like, either it's entertainment or it's like the purest meritocracy. I feel like we're kind of hung in the middle and nobody really knows like what they actually want.
But at the same time, you're talking about, let's just take a normal week. You're talking about 4 sponsor invites out of 156 players or 144 players. It's still a meritocracy, you know,
Yeah.
and like these sponsors, like MasterCard is pumping a lot of money into this event to make it a signature event, and you need to appeal to them some way. And giving them 4 sponsor exemptions is the least you can do. I don't think that's a big deal, in my personal opinion.
I don't disagree with that, but what if the US Open got a sponsor and started handing out sponsor exemptions? We would think that was a big deal, right?
Well, they do have special invitations, right? The US Open can invite people that they feel are worthy of being there. And they've done that with Phil Mickelson before. So, you know, there's an element to it where I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, they're not trying to, they're inviting PGA Tour players that are worthy for the most part. And if they haven't proved themselves lately, they at least have in the past. And that's where like Dylan Wu isn't getting a sponsor's invitation because he hasn't won a major championship and a players, and he hasn't done what Webb Simpson has done. So he doesn't draw anything to the event like those guys have. And I think it's a good thing to have a potential draw like that for some of these guys. I don't think it's like a corrupt kind of system in any way.
Rick?
Beyond corrupt.
Really?
Here we go.
There's so much wrong with it.
Patrick.
If you need 4 sponsors invites at a signature event for a draw, you are so screwed anyway. If you need Webb Simpson and Adam Scott and Shane Lowry to save your needle, you don't own a needle. Okay. You are just so far gone. If you want to do it for regular events, fine. I hate it because it's stupid. But the signature events are supposed to be above all of this.
I hate it because it's stupid.
And when you like, I can't imagine the conversation. I don't know how long sponsors invites have been going on, but I cannot imagine the conversation where some executive sat down with the PGA Tour and said, okay, here's what we're going to pay this amount and we're going to get our name in the title. We're going to get, you're going to talk to the CEO when the leaders make the turn. You're going to get all the graphics and all this other stuff. Oh, by the way, you can put anybody you want in the field. Like, that is insane. Could you imagine if Pepsi was like, we also want to add 4 guys to the Kansas City Chiefs tonight? I mean, they're a little older. They're maybe a little washed up, but we think they could get some eyeballs.
It's kind of like Giannis having his brother on the team for the Bucks.
Yes. Well, that is nepotism. Also, I don't even like that the PGA. Why does the PGA Tour sponsor golfers? I didn't like it when the UFC sponsored fighters. when you could be put. I want a clear separation of church and state is what I want.
Yeah. Well, also, not to bring this up, but Ricky Fowler getting a special exemption into the PGA Championship a few years ago. Do you remember this, Patrick?
I was going to bring it up myself. It was in my backyard.
It's nonsense. Like, what
when he finished,
get it out of here, producer.
Tied 8th, right?
Tied 8th, started the comeback. Without the PGA of America, where's Ricky Fowler today? Who knows?
Look, Rick, I don't think you're leaning on the sponsor invites to, be the draw, but you're trying to create the best field you can. And sometimes guys are injured. That's
not true. That's not true. Dylan Wu is way better than Webb Simpson is. That is not creating a better field. It's creating what MasterCard CEO perceives as a more exciting field.
For sure. And that's where I don't we don't know what we're doing. Everybody is doing a different thing, right? The MasterCard CEO wants one thing. The player directors want one thing. Dylan Wu wants another thing. The PGA Tour management wants something else. There's 900 different incentives.
Right.
And
so what do you do? You compromise.
Yes, you compromise by making the fields 100 people and having a real cut instead of just 6 people not playing the weekend. It's an absolute joke. And to make matters even worse, you have Nick Dunlap by himself Thursday and Friday, an odd number. You couldn't just add one more guy. Andrew Novak, I'm gonna fall on my sword for Andrew Novak for not getting in this field after a nice couple of weeks. But it's just like you guys said, so many mouths to feed, but none of the mouths know what to do.
What a phrase.
He was close. He was
including mine.
He was firing. He had it all going, and he tried to put a bow on it, and he whiffed a little bit, but I liked it.
Well, I think ultimately, Greg, I've been just pounding this drum, but I fundamentally disagree with, and I understand why players having equity theoretically makes sense. Players having equity in a league. I just completely disagree with players having the power that they have on the PGA Tour, because I don't think that they completely understand and sometimes even care about what makes a league like this or a business like this operate and run. And now you can argue management would be even more incentivized to put the sponsor exemptions into the field. And maybe that's right, but at least there's some clear, there just needs to be clarity over okay, is this an entertainment product? If so, have a YouTube, qualifier into every event, because that would be the best. That would be the biggest draw and the best thing for the product, not just the Myrtle Beach event. No offense, Patrick. Right. So I just, there's too many people going in too many different directions. And I don't know that the players being in charge is necessarily the best way that this should head.
I'm just so at my wit's end about all this. I just think it is. I'm just so worried about what the next couple of years looks like.
Me too.
I'm fascinated by next week's Monahan's presser.
I'm pumped.
I think he's got nothing.
He's just gonna double down on here's some more details about the SSG thing.
Right. And I just think man, somebody cast some vision here. We got Rory talking about the global tour, which, okay, that's at least a plan or a vision, but it's not, there's no I don't know. There just seems to be no plan. There's no vision casting at all.
But the thing is, for the vision, it shouldn't be Rory McIlroy in an interview sharing his thoughts with what the game should look like, right? That should be in a boardroom, in a meeting. It should be decided between the decision makers, right? And then they should enact the plan. Right now, everybody's just throwing their 2 cents in to the media and letting them run with it. And it's putting this this situation where, I mean, the PGA Tour was in a very good place and growing every year.
Yes.
And getting better and better and better every single year. And all of a sudden, the whole world's broken. And it feels like there's been panic. And I think a lot of that comes from the players voicing random opinions. Like, if you have that opinion, don't bring it to the media. Bring it to somebody else. Talk it over with Rory. It doesn't do anybody any good.
But I think they feel like they just get swatted away by Tiger.
Or anybody. Or like it's just this distrust of the people who are decision makers, who are paid to be decision makers. Like, there's just such a distrust. Why would you call up Jay Monahan or call up somebody with an idea if you feel like you're just going to get swatted?
But think about this in other sports. If Dak Prescott has a problem with the way the NFL is run, you know who he takes it to? He takes it to the player representative for the players union.
Correct.
And they go and negotiate with the owners. There's a clear like pathway toward change. And with the PGA Tour, it's like, oh, I don't know, Dak, you are one of the owners. So what do you think? Like, tell us.
Greg hit the nail on the head of where, like, my personal feelings right now is that golf was handed a goose that lays golden eggs, and popularity had never been so high. Recreational play was up. States were legalizing gambling and getting more people interested. It was the hottest. I mean, purses were fly. It was the greatest thing. And now here we are a couple of years later with zero plan, zero idea of where this goes, a fractured game. And the guy who was not entirely at fault for it is also the guy who's in charge of the next thing that's going to save everybody.
We got LeBron in the mix too, Chris Pratt, Lindsey Vonn. I mean, that could be trouble in paradise for Tiger Woods.
Wait,
an ex-girlfriend.
Lindsey Vonn's part of the SSG?
She's in the mix. She got some money down, I believe. Drake as well, Maverick Carter. I would love someone to ask Jay Monahan next week a simple question.
Maverick Carter is.
What do you think that? And what do you think golf fans want? And where did you get this? Where did you get your take from?
Value for shareholders. The other thing, I hope these guys all make a ton of money. I do. But getting a lifeline of $3 billion and handing out half of it, $3 billion that you could do anything with. You can fix all your problems. You can blow it up. You can double down. You can do anything you want, and give half of it away immediately to superstars who have hundreds of millions of dollars, and immediately take, like, these guys are at best are going to be gone in 10 years. That, like, then what? Are we just going to keep giving $1.5 billion to everybody? Like, the whole thing is this would not pass any business school example. It would never pass the sniff test anywhere.
I mean, they have to lock. I mean, in their defense, I hate all of it, but in their defense, they have to lock down the talent, right?
Or does the talent matter?
Yeah, that's the take. Shane Ryan has this take of, like, there's no needle movers, like they don't exist, and you're like, that is sick.
I mean, if 60 guys you've never heard of, or 80 guys you've never heard of, played the Masters next month, I'd tune in and watch every minute.
Yeah, because the product is the Masters. It's not the players. But that's it. That's different than.
That's the only one.
Because of how poorly run the rest of golf has been for the last 75 years.
75 years.
Damn.
It was probably okay when Sam Snead was racking up records. It was probably fine.
That's when we were a country. That's when we were a league.
I'm just so.
Rick, they're running it like the federal government. Just spend, baby.
I want two things. I want Patrick to have a one-on-one with Jay Monahan, and I want it to be televised live.
Wow.
Would watch.
We've met
like
we've
60
met
minutes
multiple times.
Oh, probably your Boston days, huh?
No, it was BMW Championship. He was playing with Cantlay in the Pro-Am.
Okay.
First time meeting him. I read his bio. I knew his background was Fenway, but for some reason I thought he was a KPMG boy. And so I led with that. He's like, no, I was never with a big four. I was like,
So, all right, that rolls out the one-on-one.
yeah, that was tough. So I
want,
guess we both struggle with public speaking a little bit in that regard.
I want a Patrick and Jay one-on-one, 20 minutes. Turn the cameras on. And I want Rick to write more. I loved your I mean, you write a ton, but I loved your global golf whatever world tour thing. And I think you like when you write like when you go big on ideas and thoughts and stuff, I think it's super interesting. I think you have good perspective. And you're just angry. So
I'm
which is really coming out tonight.
getting very fed up. And when I've got a lot of things bopping around in my brain. Sometimes they come out, sometimes they don't. All right. We will talk more about this leaderboard. We will recap our best bets. We will recap a massive one and done swing. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
The blackout mystery remains.
Welcome to March Madness. Oh! You just never know in the tournament who is going to shine.
Stream March Madness live on any device, anywhere, and be ready for anything.
And we're back. All right, gents, time to talk about our bets. We can talk about how the rest of this field played out. We all found some level of green on our betting cards, which is nice. Greg, we will start with your matchup wager. That was Jordan Spieth over Colin Morikawa. That was pretty easy because Spieth finished T30 and Colin missed the cut after shooting an 80 on Friday.
Yeah, it's a good thing because Spieth had some up and down moments during this event as well. Also a good thing because of the rest of my betting card. So I'll take anything I can get. Thank you, Jordan, and thank you, Colin.
Patrick, the only green you see here is Corey Connor's top 20. Corey finished T18, but we're gonna be setting you up for a lot of green in the future here.
Yeah, I'm excited. Connor's played well this week, kind of what you expected. Irons were good, hit the ball in the fairway, didn't make a lot on the greens, and resulted in a top 20. I picked on Tommy Tables. That was on me. He was brilliant from tee to green. I think he led after 3 rounds. He'll be a popular pick next week for sure.
KP, Xander Schauffele over Victor Hovland, plus 105. Cash it. Now, these two were in a little bit of a pillow fight, but Victor goes 75-75 on the weekend, and Xander beats him by 2.
Yeah, it came down to the end on Sunday. I don't know that there's anything to be proud of here for anybody, including myself, but at least I got some green.
Scottie Scheffler over Rory McIlroy for me, and Will Zalatoris to finish inside the top 10 plus 275 were the green ones there. Best bets. Oh, yeah. We missed on Pavone top 20. That was mine. KP Burns top 20, who had 2 triples on Sunday.
Very fun. That was fun.
Including the first hole. Greg's Adam Scott top 20. He missed the cut. But Patrick, you finally have taken your $50 and you put it to good use by betting Scottie Scheffler outright to win this golf tournament at 7-1.
I'm very happy I talked myself off the ledge of the top 40 minus 1,800 play and instead moved all my chips to the middle. And look, this is what it's all about, guys. We're a team here. I'm happy we're, just slightly in the red now and ahead of the Players' Championship, a big tournament. I like the way we're trending.
KP, I asked you on Thursday night after Rory McIlroy shot an opening 71 what your level of concern was. He quickly bounced back with a 70 and a 68. He was just a couple of shots off the lead, 5, I believe, maybe 4, going into Sunday's final round. Then he shot a 76, which included a double on number 6 and a handful more bogeys. Are you still at a 0 out of 10?
Well, I'll get to that. Can I air my Sam Burns grievance here?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was in the top 20 for like 93% of the tournament.
He was also in the top 5 for
like 70% of it.
Yes.
And he somehow finished outside the top 20. What did he shoot today? 79?
78.
Okay.
A triple on 1, a triple on 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more bogeys. It's actually kind of crazy. He shot a 78. He made a lot of birdies too. But yeah, just all over.
That's infuriating. He's been playing good golf. He led Scheffler at the turn by 1 on Saturday, and he lost by 16.
Oh my god.
27 holes.
It's like a who's the guy that beat you by 8, Greg? And then you're like, he's
Oh, Bud Cauley.
yeah. It's like Bud Cauley and Greg.
Yeah. Yeah, in 27 holes, he could probably beat me by 17 if he played poorly.
Yeah. The Rory thing. I mean, like, I think there's concern. I put his numbers up on Twitter. He's first in the field in, I think, all 3 of his 4 PGA Tour events in driving. Like, just best driver in the world this year. Like, I don't think it's even all that close. And his approach play just stinks. I mean, numbers wise, anecdotally, you watch it. He talked about it afterwards. He's like, my approach play stinks, like, is basically what he said. So I think there's actually probably more concern about that than if he was just putting poorly. Like last he putted poorly, PGA National. Doesn't mean.
I think we decided at one point it's Greg.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Maybe I'm making that up, Greg. Sorry. I don't want to throw
It's news to me. I mean, I'm happy to try to fix something if you'd like.
I think the putty, like, he putts bad last week, and you're like, whatever. Like, it's just 1 week. And then, but the trend of hitting irons poorly is, I think, a little bit more disconcerting than one bad putting week.
It was today on the front 9. He missed 5 iron shots left.
Yeah.
Missing the green, not left of the flag. You know, I mean, and one of them in the water.
Like left long. I mean, is that what is that, Greg? Is that a turning it over? Is it a double cross? Like, what's the deal there?
There was one I saw on number 6, not today. He hit it in the water at 6 today too, but it looked like he aimed a little to the right and got a little flippy with it. Rory has a tendency of getting the club underneath, which can lead to some blocks and hooks, which is so strange. Although it kind of goes with the driving. A lot of times great drivers of the ball are a little underneath and struggle with iron play. And I think Rory's getting himself just a little bit underneath it. When he's really playing well and the wedge play is in tune, you see him hit a lot more cuts off the tee as well. And I don't think we're seeing that right now. But I do think he knows how to fix it. He's fixed it before. This is like part of his fingerprint. It's just ugly right now.
Yeah. I think that's what's so impressive. You watch guys like JT and Max, and I'm out over my skis talking about swings here, but they seem like they get underneath the driver also, Greg, but they don't do it with the irons. Yeah,
well, JT's very much on top of it, and his swing is a little different with the driver because he tries to hit up on it so much. Okay. So that's a really good point. I wouldn't say Max is underneath it with the driver. I think, in my opinion, most of the swings that I see, he's pretty well on top of it and hits that little bleeder cut. But you're spot on with JT.
Okay.
One and done, gentlemen. And I need to inform you all that one of us found the winner. It unfortunately was not myself, Kyle, Greg, Josh, or Mark. So it was Patrick. We'll get to that in just a second. Mark did miss the cut with Matt Fitzpatrick, and he was actually, I heard him he started to mention it on PGA Tour Live, how upset he was. So it's creeping into his work now. This miscut from Matty Fitz.
You hate to see that. Hate it.
Kyle and I got the same amount. A crappy 88,375. I used Patrick Cantlay Kyle used Cam Young.
Yeah, Cam, he had a couple. He started today like T19 or something, and you're like, okay, if he shoots 68, I'm kind of doing okay. But just I don't know. He never got anything going.
Greg Ludwig, $162,800.
He was lucky to make the cut. And he and I both owe Brian Harmon a big thank you for plugging in the bunker on 18 on Friday night, because he's going home if Brian Harmon makes par at 18. So I'll count my blessings. I can't believe I didn't see this coming, although I'm hoping that Kyle's right and Scottie wins by 5 next week. It just seems so obvious now that Scottie was to play. But fortunately, I don't think it's the last time that Scottie's to play this year.
Have we talked about? I think I have no evidence of this, and I would want to go look at it. But I like the 10-shot rule. I actually think the 10-shot rule should be the only cut. Like,
whoa! You're not taking this idea because I gave it to you.
Your idea?
Yeah, I said 10-shot rule only.
I think I like it.
And if the leader pushes it out super deep, let him go.
If 6 guys make the cut, sorry.
Yep.
I think there's a lot you could do with the cut line to make it fascinating. First of all, it's important to have one every week, I believe. The other thing you could do is have a static cut line. Set it at the beginning of the week. You know, even parse the cut.
That would be kind of sick too.
I'm in on all this. I have 2 questions that I need producer Josh to look for real quick. One, how much was Neiman up at the 2022 Genesis at Riv at the halfway point?
Wild.
And then how much was Justin Rose down at the 2018 Open Championship? Because he finished T2, and I think he made birdie at the last. And if Molinari would have fallen apart, he could have won. But I think he was more than 10 down at the halfway point.
Okay, well, while Josh looks into that frantically, I will remind everyone that Rory McIlroy was Josh's selection. He ended up getting $224,000, but looked like a much bigger payday before Rory shot a 76. Gentlemen, I'm going to open this up. We'll give Josh a minute here. I'm going to open this up. Anything else in the world of golf? API, Puerto Rico. Anthony Kim shot his best round on Live thus far in Hong Kong. There was a lot of playoffs today. The senior tour event's still going on. I don't know if anybody's got any hot takes about that.
Hot takes on the senior event? Patrick might.
In Tucson, the Culligard Classic. Is that the they sponsor that one medical thing that old guys have to get?
Oh yeah.
You'll get there soon.
Never.
Stuart Sink was leading. I haven't seen it recently.
He is not anymore. He was taking a drop last time I saw him. Joe Durant's in the lead.
Oh.
I do have one Scottie Scheffler putting stat for you.
Okay.
So he was 144th coming in the week in strokes gained putting. Most of that though is like between 4 to 8 feet. I was going through the PGA Tour putting ranges today. He's above average from 5 to 15 feet, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, and he's top 30 outside 20 feet actually in terms of making putts. He's almost making 10% of putts outside of 20 feet. And then this stat kind of caught me off guard. It was putts made per event over 10 feet. Hayden Springer leads the way a little over 8. The tour average is 4.5. Scottie in his last 27 holes made 5.
Wait, the tour average for the year?
Yeah. Putts made per event over 10 feet is like 6.5 or 4.5. Sorry. Isn't that wild?
And he made 5 over his last 2 rounds.
27 holes.
Goodness. Yeah. I mean, we talked about this. I think Rick and I talked about this a little bit on Thursday. His weight is usually, I think, pretty decent on long putts. It feels like this is, again, anecdotal. I don't have any evidence to back this up, but it feels like it's like his line is really bad on shorter putts.
Well, that's why this week he went away from the line on the ball. He went with the mallet putter and no more line on the ball. which he wanted to feel a little more of a artist, feel like a little more of an artist. Perhaps some of that's bringing the long range feel into the short range aim. And the putter that you use, aim is a big factor in that. You know, the neck has a big effect. The line, the alignment aid on the putter itself has a huge effect on it. The colors can even have an effect. It's kind of a big deal. And if he can improve the aim on his putts, it has a fabulous way of improving the stroke. And then you add the mallet to the mix, which has a little more forgiveness, like Rory pointed out. And it could be just what the doctor ordered.
Do you guys use the line on the ball?
I do.
I don't.
Some of those golf balls that have all of the crazy symbols on them kind of have a line built in almost, like the checkered Callaway or the TP5X. So I'll sometimes line it up using those. But I'm
if when you look down, if you stand behind the ball and you line it up and it looks like it's aimed at the right edge, and you stand over it and it doesn't look like it's at the right edge, you got a problem. And you shouldn't use a line on the ball.
Sounds like you got two problems.
But that's very common. So you don't have to use it. You should be able to aim your putter properly. If you can, the line is, you know, it helps me just kind of know rather than think, because it works for me. But many of my students, I won't have them use a line.
Okay, good vamping, guys. So Rose was 9 back. Is that right, Kyle?
Yeah.
So he made the cut. Okay.
He would have made it.
I was looking up the Genesis. My quick napkin math says Neiman was at 126. So anybody at 136 at the halfway point would have gotten in. That's 13 guys.
Hell yeah.
rub of the grain, baby.
Yes. That's 13 out of 119.
Can you imagine they have 7 pairings on or six if they have a 3 ball?
So now does the purse get split 13 ways?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 20.
But how do you think Genesis feels about that?
A $20 million purse. Now minimum 13. That's pretty good.
You'd have to have sponsor exemptions into the weekend.
Sponsor markers.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That's so good.
Okay. Anything else? Final thoughts? Going once, going twice. Players ship.
That's the AK. 65. It's great.
65. Best round yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. My takeaway is just that Dan Rappaport tweeted this, but the Players Championship using the best field in golf is a little tough. Like there's a Rahm shaped hole in the PGA Tour right now, and it's not just that Rahm is missing, but he's emblematic of the fact that guys are missing. And I missed Bryson. Bryson was like half this tournament 3 years ago, or whatever that was, 4 years ago. I mean, he was such a showman and such a draw, and I hate Rahm not being. It just the whole thing. It's part of what we were talking about earlier, but it just stinks right now.
Anything more positive to end on?
Terrell Hatton broke his putter in Live Golf Hong Kong. Had to use a wedge to finish his round. Not as positive, but I miss Hatton at Bay Hill too. That was one of the golf's greatest rivalries. It felt like
Hatton and Wyndham's caddy both use a wedge to putt with.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That we can end on that. That was a good one. Okay, we will be back. Players Championship. Ever heard of it? Is next week. That is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. No, yeah, Saturday, Sunday. Normal schedule. Big thanks to producer Josh. There's all the hard work behind the scenes. Patrick McDonald at P McDonald CBS. That's Greg DuCharme at The Real GFD. That's Kyle Porter at Kyle Porter CBS. And you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.